Am I ever going to love a brow product other than a brow gel? Probably not. Hi, I hope you're all well. If you're new around here, hello, it is lovely to meet you, and if you're returning, thank you very fucking much for coming back. My name's ALANNA and I'm a 36-year-old lady living in Scotland, and that is where my accent is from. And on this channel we predominantly talk all things beauty, skincare, hair care, lifestyle, travel-y, bloggery, vloggery, bullshit, but with a liberal sprinkling of sarcasm, cynicism, and some might say honesty, whatever you think of that, thrown in on top. Now if that sounds like your kind of thing, there's a subscription button in the corner, give it a little thumbs up and all that other YouTuber crap. This video is going to be this look, creating this look, but using some Catrice Cosmetics that I have never used before. They are not readily available here in stores in the UK, you can buy them online, but I've never actually seen anything in the flesh. So when we went on holiday last week, we were in Lanzarote and it was in shops. I thought, give me a little shot of that. Oh, look at the colours. And this is the Blushing Ocean Pro Slim Eyeshadow Palette. So that is what I've got on my eyes today. A little bit of a pink and blue kind of sunset moment on the eyes. If you like the look of it, then just keep on watching. Hi, so I am filming this a wee bit early again today, but do you know, in the summer months, I don't actually mind filming in this part of my room because I feel like it's natural light, but as I say, if I was to sit in my normal position, it would just be like bleached out. Like the closer I get to the window, it's like just bleached out by the sun because it's glorious weather here in Scotland. I'm so happy. But we are going to be using this today. I've probably already told you in the intro. It's from Catrice and it is, I want to say they're slimline eyeshadow palettes, that's the range, pro slimline eyeshadow palettes. And this one is in Blushing Ocean. So when I was on holiday, I actually seen a Essence stand and a Catrice stand. Now here in the UK, I know we can get Essence in Wilko's, but I don't live near a Wilko. There's not one in like the city centre or anything. I know I can try Essence online as well, but if you know me, if you're new around here, you maybe don't know this, I like to see stuff in real life. I don't mind looking online, for instance. If I can go in somewhere and see swatches or see like testers and stuff like that and they don't have that colour, happy to go and buy it online. But it's a rarity that I just take a plunge online. Sometimes I do, like the stuff with the half magic and stuff, I just done it, went ahead. But when it's things that I'm like, it's maybe a drugstore product, stuff where in other countries it's available in store, I'm a little dubious to just go ahead and buy online, especially with things like base products. So, went into a wee pharmacy over in Lanzarote when we were away, and they had an Essence stand and a Catrice stand. Now I did only pick up one Essence product, but my kind friend Audrey has sent me over a mystery box. So there'll be a video on Essence coming as well. But the Catrice stand was much better stocked, I have to say. But I have never ever seen a Catrice stand in the UK. So I seen this and I thought, that's quite pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? This palette is the Blushing Oceans palette. And I get why, because it is quite, I feel like, remember people would talk about like neutral with pop of blue? This palette is a little bit like that, like neutrals and then that pop of blue. But it's leaning more to that kind of warm toned palette. See, to be honest with you, see if this one and this one maybe weren't in this. How can I do that? Like so. Hide the blue, hide the kind of greeny one. It's almost got vibes of, what do you call it? Anastasia Renaissance, because of the pink. It's very rosy toned. It's like a warm tone palette, which is my comfort zone. But I have to say what won me over was that blue. So we're going to do a look today and I'm going to try and incorporate the blue. I'll put in some swatches and stuff as well. I will just budgie over here and pop them here so you can see them. There is a mixture of textures as well. There is one in here called Pink Sand, which I feel like is definitely one that has a shift to it. I'm going to say the swatches will be here. I'm just doing it on the back of my hand to confirm. Yes, it does have a shift to it. Very beautiful. Almost like a quite a distinct pink as well, like a bit of a hot pink, but with peachy tones to it. It's nice. It's really nice. And then this ocean one, I'm just going to swatch this one as well because seeing as we're here, I feel like, do these two have the same texture? No, I think the ocean one is just a straight up shimmer, whereas the pinky one definitely has a bit of a shift to it. So I'm going to do one eye at a time. Reason being is I'll probably do a reel on this as well, so I'll go and film the other eye off screen for you. But let's just get started. What am I want to start with? You know what I'm going to start with? I'm going to put a little bit of concealer down. So just as a little bit of a base to make sure these eyeshadows really kind of pop, putting a little bit of concealer down. Of course, you can use a proper eyeshadow primer, a glitter primer, all that other kind of stuff if you want to. Personally, I just don't go into that much effort a lot of the time. If I'm using a glitter, like a loose glitter, then I'll maybe use a primer, but a lot of the time I just use a bit of concealer and it's fine. I am gonna take this one in Beach Flirt, which is quite a warm toned rosy colour, I would say. And I'm just gonna start with that in the crease here. On my skin tone, this is actually quite dark. That is not as, I thought it would be a little lighter than that. I thought it would be a little bit more pinky. So we're just gonna kind of buff that out a little bit. I have never used Catrice Cosmetics before, never in my life, but I've seen an awful lot about them, and that's why I was quite excited when I seen it in the little pharmacy in Lanzarote. So just gonna buff that out. That blended not too badly, and I feel like there is still quite pigment there. I did tap off some of my brush because when I first put it on I thought, oh, that's darker than I thought. But once it's blended, I can see the kind of warm pinky tones, and I think that's quite pretty. Now, obviously, as you know, warm toned eye looks, that's my absolute safety net. That is the zone where I know what I'm doing. It's easy to just bash one of these kind of looks out. But that is why today I'm feeling like I want to incorporate the blue into this as well. I'm gonna take Blushing Ocean, which is this kind of a lighter rosy shade here, and just bring this up into a little bit. Oh, that's actually much more pink than I realised. I mean, these two are relatively similar once on the eye. Also, I'm like, that was very, very pigmented. That is not what I expected from that at all. So I'm just gonna buff that right out to the edges. What I would say is that that Blushing Rose is almost like you could put that on, and if you want to deepen it up, then use the Beach Flirt. They're very, very similar tones. One is just slightly darker than the other, but once you start to blend them out, there's not too much of a difference in them. So I'm going back in with Beach Flirt to build that up again, because I definitely kind of just washed it out a little bit there. Okay, that's cute. I like it. As I say, like, you could make an easy neutral eye look. See with these three here, and then maybe like this one, the pearl one, neutral eye look right there. It's offering a lot of kind of neutral tones, especially, I feel like it'd be a nice holiday palette, because at the end of the day, you've got all these kind of tan ones. Once you've got a bit of a tan, which I do at the moment, you've got all these tanny tones, and then these nice kind of pops of colour up here. The Soleil one, this is like a gold, it's not yellow. I feel like on the camera it might look a little bit yellow, but it's definitely more of a gold. The Seashell one is kind of like a shimmer. I don't know if there's much to that one, hold on. Just like a kind of pearly shimmer with a slight pink to it. The actual pearl one, oh, that's very soft, is actually more of a matte. That's it with my finger there. And it's like a satin. That's exactly what it is. It's more of a satin shade. The Seashell one has a slight undertone of pink to it, but it's definitely like a kind of pearly shimmer. And the Crystal one, as I say, looks like it might be like a green, but I think it actually looks more like an aqua blue. Oh, the Crystal one is not a great formula. I mean, it blends eventually. That's it on my hand there. Can you see it? Actually looks kind of silvery on my hand. It is kind of more of a white, slightly blue tone, but not what it looks like in the pan at all, and quite gritty is not the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Crumbly? Quite crumbly. So that is a completely different texture. The first two shades that I showed you, these two, they were fine. The Soleil one, the gold one, is probably a little bit similar to the Crystal one, but because it's a gold, you can get away with it a little bit. But that's actually very nice. The gold is nice, but that Crystal shade, this one here, I did not like that formula there. Okay, so we've got peachy, we've got pinky going on here. I am just gonna, do we put the blue on the outer corners and then like a sunset in the middle? Let's try that. I'm gonna take like a little paddle style brush to do the blue, because I think I want this to really pop, and I'm putting this on dry first of all, because I know some people like to use, as I say, a primer, or they like to wet the brush, but I'm just popping it on dry to see. Okay, I see you. I'm gonna just pop a little bit on the other corner here. That is a really nice shimmer and very, like, much more vibrant than I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be like one I'd have to pack on with a finger or something, but actually that's went on really nicely. I think the more you work with it, you lose a little bit of that intensity, but that is not the only shadow that has happened with. I mean, there's lots of shadows like that. I am going to bring that blue just up here a little bit, just to define this part of my eye. I'm just going to go back in with my brush and pop it a little bit more, like pull it onto the lid a little bit more. I feel like this is going to be one of these trust the process moments, because at the moment I'm like, this just all looks a bit muddy. We'll get there. I am going to go into the pink sand shade, which is the lovely one that's got a little bit of a shift to it. Just trying to find another clean paddle brush because I am desperately needing to wash my brushes and I've not done it. There's one there. Right, another clean one. And I'm going to take that right into the middle of the lid. Now this might be one that will go in better with a finger because it's got that shift to it. Just going to pop it on here. Yeah, I'm going to take my finger for this one because it's just a totally different texture. And I'm also going to take a little bit of the gold because we want it to be a little like sunset moment. I'm going to kind of merge it with the blue a little bit just to make that a smoother transition. I feel like I've lost the pink now again, so I'm going to just pop that right on the centre again. I'm going to take the pink up over here a little bit as well because it has that little shift that's quite nice. And I'm going to go back into the blue again and just kind of blend these two together because I don't want to totally lose my blue. I still want that to be a real pop of blue. But I also, the thing with doing looks like this is you kind of have to go back and forth. You have to go back and forth and back and forth because you don't want to lose your colours, but you also don't want it to just look like you've got 3 different colours and a stripe. You know, like when you're doing looks like this or rainbow looks or anything, you do have to just keep going back and forth till you get what you like. I'm going to go back in with a slightly smaller brush to define these areas because I feel like I've lost that a little bit. So I'm going to back into Beach Flirt, just blend this here and add a little bit to this side as well. I didn't really have much on that side, but just to tie together the blue a little bit. As I said, it's one of these trust the process moments, but it's starting to come together a little bit now. And there we go. So what I'm going to do now is take a slightly deeper colour, maybe this Palm shade, just to deepen up here because I feel like when we have sunsets, there's like, you know, that dusk sky and it is a little bit like warmer brown, even if it's on the ocean, it's a little bit warmer. I'm going to take a little bit of that, just pop that right on the edge here and kind of just pull it through into the blue. What I would say about these mattes are, weirdly, they don't play together fantastically. Like I started putting on Beach Flirt and Daydream again and working that up into the brow bone. Started to get a little patchy right there. And again, I'm just going to go back into that blue because if you feel like you've lost like your vibrancy from the blue, what I might do actually, I'm just going to load the brush up with the blue shadow and then what I will do is spritz a little bit of Max Fix Plush on it so that it's even shimmerier. And there we go. I think what we're going to do on the bottom, maybe just, will we do a little, I'm in 2 minds whether to just go all blue or do a little mirror image here. First of all, I'm going to take that Blushing Ocean shade. So like, as I say, that looks quite light in the pan, but actually applied to my skin, that has quite a lot of pigment to it, more than I expected. I'm just going to bring that like down a little bit, like grungy. We want that to be kind of blown out under the eye here. And then a little bit of Beach Flirt just here. Give yourself an eye bag, go for it. And then I'm going to go back in with that blue and take it a little bit like closer to the lash line. Probably should be using a smaller brush, but hey ho, here we are. Wonder if I've got a liner that would work. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I think that is a good complement to that colour and it's from Kiko. The number is 08 because Kiko doesn't have shade names on their products, which is a real pain in the bum. I'm going to put that in my waterline. I'm actually going to just run that along the top of the lash line too, just to get it to pop a little bit, and right in here, because I do feel it really complements that blue really, look at that, complements that blue really nicely. I'm just going to put this right underneath the lash line and almost pull down some of that liner that I've got in the waterline. I love to do stuff like that. Even if you're using a black liner and you're trying to do that smoky eye, if you use the liner in your waterline and then you use a wee brush to kind of pull it down a little bit, I think it gives that beautiful smoky eye look. And that's basically all I'm trying to do, but with a coloured liner here. There is a lot of fall down from these shadows, like lots of it. I don't know if you're going to see it on my cheek here, but there is loads and loads of fall down. Just be aware of that. What I'm going to do is, I think we'll put a pop of pink in here as well, just to tie the two together. And then I'm going to go in with Pink Sand, which is the one that's got the shift in it, right on top. I feel like the Pink Sand needs to be a little damp as well. For this bit anyway. On the lid it's okay, but for this bit I feel like you're just not getting the full impact of it. Just want it to be a little bit more pop. Ooh, that's much nicer. Like very, very nice pink colour there. I now feel like I've lost some of the blue. What I'm going to say on the overall kind of feeling of this is the blue is vibrant, the blue is nice. But with the other shades that's in this palette, I feel it gets a little lost. It's obviously called Blushing Ocean, so again, it's like rose colours and blue. I feel they would have benefited from having just a couple of other blue tones to match that. The rosy tones all go really well together. The Glam Bronze, as I say, that's one of the ones in this neutral trio here. This is going to be a beautiful neutral. These three here, again, like these four here, beautiful neutral pink tones. There are fun colours in it, but I just feel like it is a little bit neutral with a pop of blue. The blue is out there on its own, doing its own thing, and it's just, there's nothing really there to suggest that it's got something to it. I'm going to put this crystal shade, the one I don't really like the texture of, under here. See if that helps a little. I don't know. Just feel like the blue is a little bit on its own, doing its own thing. And it is a very nice shadow, but it gets lost in amongst the colours of the other shadows. Ever so slightly. Okay though, I don't mind that. I think that finish looks quite nice. As I said, I am going to go, oh no, tell a lie. I bought a mascara, let's do that first. So I'm just going to do a quick little bit of clean up here first. Like, look, that is the amount of fallout that I've just wiped from under my eye. So that gives you an idea of just how much fall down there is there. So just cleaned that up a little bit. And let's go in with some mascara. I am going to curl my lashes. Also, I'm totally aware that because it's such a kind of bold and colourful look, you might not actually see how this mascara works, but let's just give it a go anyway. So I picked up the Lash Changer, and it's meant to be a volumizing mascara. Again, I can hear you screaming at me, Alanna, you don't like volumizing mascaras, why did you buy it? I just felt like a little change, alright? So I'm just going to bring you in a bit closer. So this is the wand, as you can see here. It's just a kind of classic brush wand. And we'll just start working that from the roots. Okay. So this is, like I say, one dip. It's funny, I don't like to say one coat because let's face it, I'm going like that. And I feel like when people say one coat, it's never one coat. It's like, you do your coats in fucking stages, don't you? You like, put your mascara on, you go away, do something, you put some other on. I don't do it loads. I'll maybe do 2 coats if that's the way we're going to talk about it. I don't put loads and loads of mascara on, but I do build it up a little bit. I don't re-dip the brush very often. That's probably what I'm trying to say. But I do use up all of the product on the brush. Now, obviously, this is going to be a first impressions. I won't be able to tell you what fall down on this is like or anything, but it's quite pretty. That's quite nice. Quite like it. I feel like it's definitely more volumizing than lengthening, but so far, running the brush through it as many times as I have, it's not went that weird clumpy way, which is quite nice. If it looks like it has on the camera, my apologies. I can assure you, when I'm looking at the mirror, I think it's quite nice. Okay, Catrice. Yes, into that. Very, very nice. Now, just before I go any further, I did not buy any kind of brow gel from Catrice. I actually picked up something from Essence instead. Just looked more like something I'd be interested in using. But I bought this from Catrice. And this is their On Point Brow Liner, right? If this doesn't work as a brow thing, I'll use it as a brown eyeliner, it'll be fine. I'm brushing up my brows. Now, I spoke about this before, I've got quite full brows, they're quite bushy. What I do find sometimes though, even, that's me just brushing them up, there's nothing through them. So let me show you, like, here's my brow, if I brush it down, that's what it looks like, that's what it looks like brushed up. I just prefer that look. But when I'm doing this, and maybe I am adding a little bit of gel through it or something, or I'm brushing it up, there are little bits of my brows, especially on this brow, my left brow, that are just, like, they don't add up to the other side. They are not symmetrical. They're definitely sisters and not twins. What is that? Is that just that's a freckle. I'm trying to brush that away. Can you see that? It's a bloody freckle. I thought it was a little clump of something. It's just a freckle. So, as you can see, this brow and this brow, they are not identical. I feel like the front of this brow is less defined. This one is quite square here and it's alright. I also feel like this one is a little bit further back. I've never been somebody who's been like pluck, pluck, pluck. So I've not like plucked them to the point that they've not grown back. This is probably just the way they grow. There's not much difference, but if you look here, if I hold that to the side of my nose, and obviously the spoolie is squint, so that's not going to make sense. If I hold that to the side of my nose, it kind of lines up with that bit of my brow. If I hold this one to the side of my nose, it does line up, but if you're going to just look here, like, there's nothing above it. There's nothing above it, whereas on this side, I'm like, there's brow above. So this side is just a little shorter, and I also feel like this side, like, fans out nice here, but this side actually has more hair in the tail. This side is, I don't know why, like, there's not as much tail there. So I figured, let's try one of these. It's one of these little pens that you just draw the brow hairs on. So let's try and even that up now. What colour did I buy in this? That would be a good shout as well. Dark brown. And I feel like as well, see in here, there's little areas in here that on the other side, I have hairs, and in here, they're just not there. I don't think this is very good for defining. It's adding colour. I feel like there's a little bit more going on in the tail here, but it's not very, it's not defining. I don't know, it's not precise enough. So the actual strokes are not very defined. Can I show you? Can you see what I mean? Like, it's quite soft and not very, that's me going quite hard, right? There we go. But if you go lightly, which you're trying to do on your brow because you don't want it to look nuts, it's not, I don't know how to describe it. Am I ever going to love a brow product other than a brow gel? Probably not. Okay, so I've added a little something to that side. It's alright. I am going to go back and do the other eye on this side, and I will come back and see if there's any kind of evenness between the brows. But I am also going to add a little bit of brow gel through this one too, just to keep them kind of defined and pushed up that way. And I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I am back and I have done the other eye. I am actually quite pleasantly surprised with the shadows. I do think they take a bit of work. I think that the mattes, some of them are quite blendable, like some of the ones that I've used worked quite well, but some of them just a little bit more work, just a little bit more work. For the shimmers, I think they are nice and pigmented and pop, but obviously I've used brands that are either indie brands or higher end brands, stuff like that, for getting that kind of shifty, like look, this takes a lot more work. This one here, is it called Pink Sand? Very, very pretty on the eyelid. You can see it here. But it's not just like a tap your finger in and tap it on the lid and it's done. Like some of the ones that I've used before from other brands. It takes a little bit of getting there, but you can make it work. The blue one, I'm actually very surprised with. I think if I just had the blue one all over the lid on its own, actually has a nice foil effect to it. It's very, very nice. Again, I did wet it to get a little bit more pigmentation, but it worked quite well. The gold one and crystal, so let's just say the gold and silver one, even though crystal looks a little bit weird and green. The gold one is fine. The gold one is all right. Can I show you on the back of my hand? Oh, I've got brow stuff on the back of this hand. I'll just show you on the side here. The gold one is fine. It's got a nice sheen to it. The silvery blue one is just so chalky. I don't know if you can see that there. That one there, so chalky. The gold one is okay. It's a little chunky, but you can make it work. I've used worse gold eyeshadows. And actually the other shimmer shade that I've not used is Bonfire, this one here. So let me just stick my finger in that. That is very nice. Okay, yeah, that one you're talking to me. And Glam Bronze, also nice and soft and very, very buttery. Let me just swatch these two for you. Just do them here. That's the Glam Bronze, and that is Bonfire. Hello, you're speaking my language. I just didn't want to do a kind of warm toned look because I do them quite a lot, but yeah, these swatch beautifully. Seashell, the one I showed you earlier, that one's kind of in the middle. I don't really know. I suppose it's because it's not as pigmented. Like, it actually swatches fine, the formula is fine, it's just not as pigmented. So I feel like this is, you can get a beautiful look from this. I mean, I really like the eye look that I've created today, but it is going to take a little more work, let's face it. And this palette is £9.99, so 10 quid. So I feel like it's not like super cheap, like some of the ones you can get for a £5 and what have you, but it's also not super expensive. But a tenner's kind of in the middle there. So for 10 quid to get it to work for you, I have used slightly cheaper palettes that do a better job. I feel like even like that one from the Studio London, the pink in their After Dark palette, or After Dusk palette, is that what it's called? Is better than this one. But I also feel like their blue one was terrible, whereas this blue one is nice. So swings and roundabouts. But I do think that the mattes are okay, they're nice. They just take a little bit more work than some higher end ones, but they are nice and you can make them work for you. So you might have noticed, I don't know if you have, this cheek has some blush on it and this cheek has nothing. That's because I was doing a little reel, so I decided that I would put the blush on. But this is the blusher that I picked up. It is the Cheek Lover Marbled Blush. This reminds me, like, this feels quite nostalgic to me, quite old school, because I feel like back in the day, a baked blush or baked eyeshadow used to be the thing. But I think it's marbled because it has got a beautiful sheen to it. I'm hoping you can see that on my cheek there. And actually, I feel like this is really quite a pigmented blush. I went on with it straight away. That's me dipping my brush in. And I was like, oh, just be careful there, ALANNA. It is actually quite pigmented. So I'm just going to start popping it on the cheeks and then blending it out a little bit, because it can probably, I mean, if you like swirled your brush in, just went straight on your face, I think this would be very, very pink. So it has got a lot of pigment to it. But as I was saying, it's also got a really pretty like glow to it, and I feel like it's not golden. Let me just look in the mirror. It's got that hint of NARS Orgasm. Like, it's got a little bit of a warm kind of subtle golden glow, but it's not super duper gold either. It's rosy gold, if that's what you want to say. But it is a very, very pretty blush. I think that's very nice. I also feel like in real life, I don't know, I always say this, I look in the viewfinder and I'm like, in real life this looks a lot brighter, and then when I get into editing I'm like, actually it looked the same as what I thought in real life. But I feel like looking in the mirror at the moment, that actually looks a lot brighter than I'm looking in the viewfinder. The other thing I was going to say was, what I'd done with the other brow was put on my gel first, my brow gel first, and then tried to fill in the gaps with the little brow, what's it called, On Point liner. It's not for me. It's not for me. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I'm really sorry. Again, the mascara I am impressed with. I think it's very, very pretty, very nice, quite voluminous, but not clumpy. You can swipe through a good few times and it's not getting spidery eyes. Now, I did put on my own concealer and what have you. I didn't pick up, well, it is a coloured lip product, but I didn't pick up like a bright coloured lip product from Catrice. I picked up one of their balms because I was on holiday. Okay. So I put the balm in my bag the other day and took it out to use it, and now cannot find it anywhere. So that's really helpful. Let's just put on a pink lip and finish up this video. Okay, so that is the finished look. I've gave you kind of overall opinions of what I've thought of the products as I have went along. Have you tried anything from Catrice? What do you think of them? I didn't pick up any base products, mainly because I was abroad on holiday, and that is probably the time when I'm least wanting to wear any base products. And I have quite a lot of concealers and things like that I really enjoy anyway. I also didn't pick up any bronzers. Can't even remember if I've seen bronzers. There was a highlighter that, again, felt really nostalgic to me. It looked really reminiscent of like 2016 kind of highlighters, powder ones. Looked interesting, but I didn't give it a go. It had like a flower embossing on it. So let me know if any of you have tried that. So what do you think? I think this blusher, gorgeous. Like, really, really enjoying that. And I do really love the eye look that I've created, but it did take me a little work to get there. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye.